Sadnam, aloha. I hope you're doing well, keeping your vibration up, keeping all your faith in God. So I want to talk about the new moon that's coming up on November 14th, and also some good news, which we all could use right now. What a year this has been. Okay, so things will start moving forward again. Okay, so Mars is going direct. You probably have heard this if you're following a lot of astrologers on YouTube. November 13th, Mars goes direct. So this means things will start moving again. So Mars represents our motivation, our willpower. And when it's in retrograde, it can feel like nothing's moving, right? Like you know what to do, what you have to do, but there's no juice and there's no fuel, right, to act upon it. And I've been actually feeling that myself. I've got all these ideas and I wanted to get this together and I wanted to do this. And I was just like, no juice for that. So Mars has been retrograde since September 9th, 2020, at 28 degrees Aries. Okay, and it was in the shadow of chaos. That's how it started out. So it's going to go back, right? It went direct to 15 degrees, so just the day before the new moon. So some questions to ask yourself are, what have you been working on for the past 2 months, right? What have you been getting riled up about? What have you been getting angry about? What's been frustrating you? And what you'll do is you'll revise this because you're going to go back over those degrees, right? So if you're, let's say, a Leo sun, moon rising, well, it's been in your 9th house. So this will affect your worldview, right? Not angry about what you're seeing out in the world. Maybe your beliefs have been challenged by others, right? You may have had travel delays, things like that. Or if you're a teacher, maybe you're changing up the way that you teach, for example, or leaving, or if you're a student, like leaving teaching, perhaps, right? So you would have gathered a lot of information in these 2 months. So from November 13th to January 7th, 2021, you're going to be able to act now on what has stopped you since September. Okay, so that's awesome, good news. And then the new moon on November 14th is in the sign of Scorpio, and it's the shadow of deafness and the gift of insight. So you can see these two channels here that are defined, right? And they're coming from the crown chakra to the ajna and then to the throat. So there are 5 different aura types. You know, we all have an aura, 9 feet in every direction. That's a healthy aura. Well, your aura operates differently according to your type, right? According to human design. So the 5 types are generators, manifesting generators, projectors, reflectors, and manifestors. Well, this new moon transit is a manifester, right? So you can see why this makes it a manifester, is that it's coming from the crown, ajna, right to the throat. There's a connection to the throat. So this means even though you may not be a manifester, like that's your natal type, right? You can tap into this energy, this full moon. You're like, I don't know, Michael, I don't know if I'm a manifestor or a generator. Calm down and go down to the information thing and get your free chart, and it will show you what type you are, okay? So you can tap into this energy, this full moon, the manifestor energy. So what does this mean? Well, look at that energy, right? It's coming right from the divine. It's divine inspiration. So you receive divine inspiration. It could just be a flash of something. It could be a dream, right? It could be something sparks something in you, right? Somebody says something and it sparks you. Okay, so you receive that and then you inform, right? So you tell someone what it is. Well, I'm going to start a group. I think I'm going to start a group on my street where we can all pool together and share our resources, right? So you go and tell your neighbor, a couple neighbors, your inspired idea. And then, right, how it works is that energetic brings the people that are or tweaked by your inspired idea, right? Whatever it may be, and then they join in to support. So divine inspiration's coming down from the crown chakra, and then you interpret it through the ajna, okay? And then you're able to speak it with the throat chakra. So remember, you've got to speak it, you've got to express it. You can't just keep it to yourself. So right now it's important that we all cultivate the language of we. We move from the language of I, that's the Piscean age, and we move into the language of we. Right? While at the same time staying connected to your individual, authentic self. And what's true is when you really are connected to your authentic self, like who you really are, who you were born to be, you're automatically connected to all selves. Right? So it's the one self that we all share. This one capital S self. We all share that same self. Remember, when one human organism, that's what humanity is. So you'll know when it comes from the divine, when it's not just personal to you. It's not going to be like, oh, the divine told me that I got to go out and buy a lottery ticket so that I can have all these things, right? No, that's not divine inspiration because it's personal to you, right? Divine is always a win-win for you and others. Right? So manifestor energy, okay, the aura type of the manifestor, it seeks peace. Right? So when you're not using this energy properly, you're going to feel angry. Right? Manifestors and Scorpios have to deal with anger. So if you're a Scorpio sun, moon, rising, you're learning all about anger in this lifetime. Right? Chances are in a past lifetime you stuffed that anger down, or you made it wrong, right? It's not spiritual to be angry. So you're here to learn about anger, manifestors and Scorpios. So this new moon means insights. That's the gift, right? So let's talk about this shadow of deafness. What does this mean? Well, our mind is noisy. Have you noticed that, how noisy your mind is with all its opinions and its beliefs and its worrying and fretting? All about your personal self, right? All about your survival, right? Maybe your family, right? The ego likes to expand that to their family. So the question on the table here, is this your mind? Is that noisy mind? Is that really your mind? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Is this my mind? Is this really my mind? Right? And why does it seem that we all have the same kind of mind? When you really talk to someone and they're honest, right? They have the same worries and frets and things that you do too, because it's the same mind. It's what Don Juan talked about in the Carlos Castaneda series. He called it the foreign installation, right? That we inherited this mind when we incarnate it, right? And this is what's losing its grip over us during this time of great transition as we birth into the Aquarian age. So this foreign installation is really the reptilian part of our brain, right? That worries for its own survival. That will do horrific things in the name of survival. We've seen it, right? We see it out in the world. So when we listen to this part of our mind, the reptilian mind, the foreign installation, we get ourselves into trouble. This is where the selfish behavior comes in. You could call it sin if you want to call it sin. This is acting from this mind instead of your authentic self, right? It's not true. So the shadow of deafness makes you deaf to your own inner voice, right? Your inner voice is that soft voice that's coming from your soul, that's connected to God. So this shadow makes us listen to the status quo, makes us listen to mainstream news, makes us listen to everyone else except ourselves, right? Because we're taught what to think, right? And I know nobody wants to admit that they are prone to conditioning, but it's true, right? We all like to think that we're rebels and we have our own thoughts and our own opinions, but it's not true. And it's really amazing to me, actually, to talk to people here, at the park or when I'm out and about, and just to hear them just regurgitate talking points that they heard on television, right, on mainstream news. It's just like verbatim. They swallow it without any critical thinking or questioning of the truth or of what they heard. They don't filter it through their own authentic self. So this is the reptilian part of the brain that's been crazy activated in 2020. And it's fear-based, right? This is reacting to life rather than responding to life. It's seeing life, it's perceiving life through duality, right? It's either or, it's good or bad. It's our animal self. And we've got three parts: animal, human, angel. So you've heard that we're in the battle of good and evil during this time, right? It's true, but it's not what we've been taught. Our actions, our behavior, our thoughts are what brings evil into the world, right? Religion, throughout the ages, have taught us to externalize our fears, to deny our fears and then project them out onto the external, right? So this keeps us spiritually immature, and we never grow up, right? So of course, this is what we're going to see out in the external. The external can't lie, right? The mirror never lies. The outside is only a reflection of what's going on in the inside. So we're being treated like children by our government, our police, and our military. Some of us are being told that we're sick when we have no symptoms whatsoever, right? Like children. A spiritual adult knows if their body is unwell because they dwell in their body. The government doesn't dwell in there. You dwell in there, right? So we're going to stop seeing this oppression and domination out on the external when we don't need to see it anymore, right? When we get the lesson. When we stop needing to see this of what we're doing, then it will just disappear. We'll stop seeing corruption out in the world when we stop compromising our own soul for money, right? Or the promise of security, doing things out of fear, corrupting our own soul, right? So those are a few examples. So we're the ones that bring evil out into the world. It's each one of us does. And you're like, what? It's crazy. I'm not evil. I'm a good person. I'm not evil. Well, we bring evil into the world through our behavior, right? This energy has to come through us. It has no form. It needs a form to manifest, right? So, how does that work? Well, I'll give you a few examples. By not caring about our fellow human beings, by looking away, right, in indifference, by ignoring our intuition that's telling us that something is wrong here. This does not feel right. By believing comfortable lies that we want to hear, right? By not taking responsibility for our life. By blaming it all on the devil, right? The devil made me do it. She made me eat the apple, right? This all goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. So this is what it means to awaken. To awaken is to, see what, right? Who's been behind the curtain, right? Who's been ruling this world, but also to clean our own house. So what are you seeing out in the world right now? What's the theme? What are you seeing out there? Right? Are you choosing deafness over insight? It reminds me of the story of the man and the woman who moved to a new neighborhood. And each morning the woman would look out, right? She'd have her coffee cup at her table, and she'd look out at in her neighbor's yard, right? The neighbor's clothesline. And she'd say to her husband, that woman's clothes are so dirty. Doesn't she know how to operate a washing machine? Right? She must be stupid. I can't believe that she doesn't see that. I'm so embarrassed for her, right? So this goes on every morning for a week, until one morning she looked out the window and her neighbor's clothes looked sparkling clean. She said, wow, they must have gotten a new washing machine, or she finally noticed how dirty her clothes were. right? So her husband looks to her and says, no, I washed the kitchen windows this morning, right? So that's what shadow work is like. We see what we are. We see our frequency in that moment on the external. It's a mirror. So if we haven't done our shadow work, then we see our shadow everywhere, right? It's like the dirty kitchen window distorting the truth. You can't see the truth when you're in shadow. So do you see how easy it is to be manipulated by the external? All it takes is a scapegoat. That person is the scapegoat. Let's project all of our collective shadows onto that person, and we'll deny it has anything to do with us. That's being a child. That's not growing up, right? So mainstream news does this all the time when you're not in your center. And when you're in your center and you start doing this work, you're going to see it at play, right? Everywhere you turn, you're going to see it, right? Because you don't know who you are. When you know who you are, right, that's the first step. You have to know who you are to be able to see the truth, perceive the truth. So this new moon is communicating that it's time to stop listening to the noise outside here. There's lots of noise out here. And start listening to your own inner voice. This is the true rebel, right? This is the true rebel. You make your inner voice the most important voice to the chattering mind, right? To outside influences, right? That's most important, not the outside influences. And also both these channels, if you look here, each channel, it can be a tribal channel or a collective channel, or it can be an individual channel. So both of these are individual channels, which means that you're not designed, right? With these channels, if you have individual channels, it means you're not designed to be prone to conditioning, to brainwashing, right? Where you're more apt to stay inside to your authentic self. So take note, right, of insights coming to you as we come closer to the new moon. And then tell someone, and then start to act upon them, right, with Mars going direct the day before. And Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio, so it has some play, right, in this new moon and influence. And the modern ruler of Mars is Pluto, which I talk about at length, right, which is breaking us out of our psychosis, right, our insanity. So do you notice that in your life? Some people, they can't seem to see the truth. They can't seem to see what you're seeing. They're blind, right, because they're in the shadow frequency. They're listening to the lies. No matter what you say or facts you present, right, they're in the shadow pattern, right? They're in their insanity. And that's this shadow, how it's ruling human perception, right? But Pluto and Jupiter are at work, right, to break down the Maya, break down our perception so that we can finally see the truth. So the fear in this shadow pattern, right, of deafness of the new moon is being rejected, right, by society. It's actually connected to the fourth seal, the book of Revelations, the fourth seal. And this is all about rejection, being rejected by society, it's one of the 6 primal wounds, right? I've got a whole workshop on that. It's about becoming an outcast. So people, when faced with this fear, right, of being rejected by society, they'll choose to comply and go along rather than being kicked out of the tribe. Because our ancient DNA, right, it's holding this memory of the times when we were kicked out of the tribe. It was a big deal. It meant certain death because we couldn't survive on our own. Right? So you will come face to face with that fear. Especially when you choose, right? It's okay, I'm going to be my authentic self in this lifetime. I'm going through this deconditioning process. I'm letting go of everything that's not me, right? So that I can really, really be the embodiment of truth, right? I'm going to do it in this lifetime. Right? So you'll meet with this fear. So, to go along with the crowd seems easy, right? It's really to remain in the world of illusion. That's what you're agreeing to. I'm going to go along with the crowd and I'm going to remain in this world of illusion. that's breaking down day by day. It's going to become harder and harder to deny, right, the truth. So remember this summer solstice, right? In June, we've been in the time of darkness, right? That was the pinnacle, right? And then we go into the darkness, and then the return of the light comes at winter solstice. Well, at that same time in December, Jupiter moves into Aquarius, right? That's a big deal. Jupiter moves into Aquarius late December, and this is preceded by December 14th. The new moon is in the shadow pattern that's directly connected to the galactic center, right? So December is going to be a huge elevation of consciousness, huge changes, right? So we just need to get through this, the November pressure, right, of 2020. So what can you do for this new moon energy? Well, you can create a space where insights can come up, right? Create a calm space. Turn off the technology. Go into meditation or prayer. Go out into nature, right? Right. Because you know there's this dystopian timeline. We all have seen it, right? The dystopian timeline that this evil consciousness wants to manifest, right? A world without love or joy or compassion or empathy, right? A world without song, a world without creativity, a world of destruction and death, a world of slavery and fear and separation. Do you want this? Ask yourself, do you want this? I doubt you don't. You don't want that, right? No, I don't want it. I don't want it. So let's stop giving our attention to it. It won't manifest unless we buy it, right? You don't understand how powerful you are as a manifestor, but not individually, as a group, right? As we come more and more together in group consciousness, and that's what they're trying to isolate us, right, from joining together, right? It can't manifest whatever it is. It won't manifest unless we buy it. It can be the super salesman can come to your door with this and that, the master salesman, but you're the one that has to buy it. Nobody can make you buy it, right? So it can't manifest without your permission, without your attention. Right? So what story do you want to see come out of all of this? Maybe a world of love and compassion and empathy, a world of abundance for all, a world of creativity, a world of unity and friendship. Right? We can create this together, but we can only create this together. So when that voice comes, right, the foreign installation, it's not you, that worries about what's going to happen to you tomorrow and gives you advice and encourages you to compromise what you know is right and true. Refuse to listen to that voice. That's not you. That voice is what's bringing more evil into the world. And this voice is what keeps you in the illusion. So evil can't exist, like it's impossible to exist in the frequency of love. Right? It's like a fish. Right? A fish can only exist in water. Bring it out of the water, it can't exist, it will die. Well, that's what evil is. Evil, bring it into the frequency of love, it won't survive. Right? I talked about this in one of my other videos. So instead, listen to the voice of your soul. What is the voice of your soul? Your behavior when you come from that place? The voice of love? Well, this brings in the Christ energy of forgiveness, love, compassion. It brings in the embodiment of love, right? That you become the embodiment of love. You become the conduit for universal love. That's what we all long to be in this lifetime, is a conduit for universal love. So a good, to create this space of insights that you want to be prepared to come down, well, you can practice the meditation to strengthen intuition. And I'll put the link down below. It's a free Kundalini Yoga meditation. It's on my YouTube channel. It's awesome. And then Also, the Healing Your Ancestors class is going to be uploaded to my website soon. I've got to edit it and prepare it a little bit more before I upload it. And also, I'm creating another workshop on strengthening the pineal gland and protecting ourselves from radiation. So really look out for that. These are tools that you'll want in your toolbox, right, in these next coming months and into 2021 too. And also, I want to thank all the people who made donations. Like, thank you. I so appreciate your generosity, and it was such a pleasant surprise to see that after the live class on Halloween. I wasn't expecting that at all. So thank you. And thank you to the ones that have purchased my programs that are members on my website, especially the Inner Child program, because that means one less person who stays in victim, one less person that doesn't take responsibility for their past, right? And it's one more person that claims their self-sovereignty. That's the secret, right? It's the 0 to 7 years old when all these patterns get laid down. This is cleaning your house. Clean up your garden is to go back to those years. So if you want to take a baby step towards deconditioning, like check out my How to Read Your Own Chart. And this will give you some insight. It's just like a very beginner intro, right? Because the chart goes very, very deep. But it will give you an insight into where your pitfalls are in terms of where you're vulnerable to brainwashing and conditioning, right? And also what you can count on, what's authentically you, right? So you can hold on to that, let go of the rest. And also the quality of what you're here to contribute in this lifetime. So it's over 6 hours long with meditations and questions, and you can download it right away, okay? So I'll put all the links below, and keep your vibration up, put all your faith in God, trust yourself that you know what is true and what is lies. You know when you're healthy and when you're not. You know what is right and what's wrong, right? Not through the mind, but through your self-sensory system. This is what's awakening, right? The solar plexus mutation that I did a whole 6 hour plus workshop on 2020, what's happening for 2027. Okay. So I'll talk to you soon, hopefully sooner than later. Okay. And please leave your comments below. I love reading them, and take good care of yourself. Sat Nam Aloha.